This is the tale of two presidents separated by 53 years of history, Lyndon B. Johnson and Donald J. Trump. The two presidents have much in common. They both are known for their enormous egos. They both battled a war, Johnson against the war in Vietnam and domestic demonstrations, Trump against the war of the virus and the Black Lives Matter movement. They both seized all the available levers of power. When LBJ once mistook one of two helicopters as his own, a lieutenant redirected him to the correct presidential chopper. Johnson responded, "Son, they're all my helicopters." Trump is no less arrogant. He diverted money from the military to build his barrier, the wall he promised Mexico would bear the cost. He refused to honor subpoenas. He tirelessly blocked the publication of his taxes, health reports, even his college transcript. Both presidents were unfaithful. The journalist Bill Moyers said of LBJ, he was a competitive womanizer. When people mentioned Kennedy's many affairs, Johnson would bang the table and declare that he had more women by accident than Kennedy ever had on purpose. Not to be outdone, Trump has a penchant for multiple wives, porn stars, and dehumanizing women.
I think she's a disgusting person and a disgusting creature.
She's a mean-spirited, unattractive woman with a pig face. I really want some of her money from that big fat ass.
Finally, at the end of his first term, Johnson had a disapproval rating of 57%. On August 6, 2020, the Pew Research Center placed Trump's disapproval rating at 59%. But there were also tangible differences between the two presidents. LBJ won his election in a historic landslide. In contrast, Trump's electoral college victory was separated by 77,000 votes and a loss of the popular vote by over 3 million ballots. Another difference, LBJ was able to negotiate with Congress and win passage of the Clean Air Act, Civil Rights Act, Medicare, and Medicaid. Trump's strategy was not to negotiate, but to bully, to only play to his base and defame people who disagreed with him. At the end of his term of office in 1968, Johnson's war policies had cost 30,000 American military lives. Yet, 4 years earlier, he agonized over the war, venting to his national security advisor, quote, "It's just the biggest damn mess that I saw. What the hell is Vietnam worth to me? What is it worth to this country? This is a terrible thing that we're getting ready to do." Trump, on the other hand, demonstrates no self-doubts or regrets about his wars. He seems unmoved by the number of American deaths by COVID-19. In fact, he seems more depressed about small crowds, as evidenced by his dejected walk of shame after suffering the small crowd in Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 20th, 2020. Another important difference. At the end of the 18-year-long Vietnam War, 58,220 American soldiers and sailors were lost. On February 28, 2020, the first death in the United States from COVID-19 was reported. Only 6 months later, the total number of coronavirus fatalities was equal to 3 times the number of deaths suffered from the Vietnam War. 3 times. Not in 18 years, but in 6 months. There is one final difference between the two presidents. Realizing the depth of his failures and the misery of a divided nation, LBJ declined to run for a second term. After his announcement, his approval rating rose 14 points. Newspaper editorials across the country praised his decision as a strong step toward healing. By all indications, Trump's ego will not allow him to bypass a run for a second term. In fact, he doesn't seem to care about a divided nation or about his dispassionate failures. Rather, he will do anything, vile or illegal, to run a second term. He will distract. He will spew false or misleading claims at an exponential rate. He will falsely defame his Democratic challengers. He will appeal all tax fraud court cases. He will whine and demand that his toadies soothe his wounded ego. And perhaps worst of all, like a banana republic dictator, he will do whatever he can to suppress mail-in voting. If Trump refuses to drop out of the race, let's make sure he does not drop in by virtue of a corrupt victory. America cannot afford to suffer the consequences of 4 more years under a demagogue, the great liar-in-chief.